Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Navigating the Struggles of Graduate School Application with Ebenezer Pia. Ebenezer started his journey in 2019, and in 2021, he got what he was looking for in the United States of America. If you haven't watched the previous videos, I suggest you do because he mentioned most of the struggles he went through and how he navigated it to finally get this offer. So, in this episode, Ebenezer, what struggle will you be taking us through and how did you navigate that?
Okay, so like in this episode, I will want to talk about finding the right school with a scholarship. Um, one thing that one challenge that I face, and I believe that everyone who starts the application process is likely to face is finding the right school to apply because the application process requires a lot of time and money, so you can't just apply to anything. You just have to make sure that what you are applying, you're going to get a scholarship for. Because actually, I wasn't just looking for admission; I wanted scholarship. So was something that I was very keen on. So
And
I didn't.
when you say scholarship, what do you mean? Because there's fun,
Okay,
there's
so
partial, there's full. Exactly what were you looking for?
what I was looking for something where it's a place where I'm not going to pay tuition and I will
Okay.
get something to living expenses.
Okay.
Um, so that was basically what I wanted. I think I was okay with paying for my flight. Some people actually, I mean, once the flight and everything covered, if I got that, I would have been okay. But I knew that US, most schools in US, I don't know any school in US that do give that. So I was ready to incur that cost, but I was looking for a place where when I get there, I don't know even if I don't know anyone there, I'm not going to struggle in terms of the cost of living and
Okay.
school fees. So when I started applying to schools that I knew people there, so first school I applied to was Ohio University. I didn't really struggle because I know someone there, he was guiding me through all the process. I also applied to the second school I applied to was in Hungary, and that school too I knew someone there, so he guided me through it. However, when I was done with these two schools, I
Um,
was
just a minute. So with the Hungary, were you going to speak Hungarian or like the program was in English?
the program is actually in English,
Okay.
Central something University. I've
Okay.
forgotten about.
And how much was the fees? Was it expensive or was
To be
just
honest, I wasn't like paying
looking for the
attention to it. I was just looking for scholarship if they're going to pay for it. I mean, I don't have to know. Up to now, I don't know how much they give because I'm just interested in if the money is enough to cover your the fees, then I
um,
don't really mind. But what I didn't do was that I assumed that because my friend is there in a different program, any program I applied in that school, I'm going to get scholarship. Not
okay.
knowing that unfortunately my program they don't give scholarship to those who apply to that program, economics program in that university. So I when the admission came, I knew that when admission came and I saw some funding package, I was jubilating, not knowing that the funding packages is like something when you are going on trip and all those things is covered. But then cost of tuition and everything I was taking care of. So I think that was a disappointment there. So um, what later on I was doing about application processes, I focused on US. I applied to European schools. I didn't know your channel, so I didn't really know about how to navigate through most European institutions. Like I think I applied to High School of Economics in Russia. I got almost 85%. It wasn't full to me. I feel like I have to pay 15% tuition, and Russia ruble is very small that I could have actually paid. But like I said, all I was thinking about was fully funded scholarship. So I didn't even ask how much I would have to pay. But today, I think I spoke to a colleague friend who has recently gotten into the same program, and she's going to pay, I think, almost 30,000 Ghana cedi for the whole
Okay.
year, which I was like, that's good because if you are coming to US, the trip alone will cost like roughly 100,000, like as in 10,000. That's
Okay.
10,000. But Russia, the whole trip will take you like 5,000. So even if you had a tuition to it, it's not even 100,000. I didn't know all these things. So I just didn't follow up. So that was just by the way. So I started as focusing on US schools and browsing state by state. I think I started with Ohio because I know several people in Ohio, so I applied to Ohio University. Like I said, I also applied to Toledo because I had a colleague there. I applied to Youngstown State University. That's also in Ohio. I applied to Cleveland State. That is also in Ohio. I applied to most of the schools that I applied in US were in Ohio. But because I know most of my friends or people, like most of those I know was focusing on Ohio, I went to other states as well, searching their various and their departments, how to get waiver code from um, the other states. At that time, I was not willing to pay for the application fee. All these schools that I'm saying, I was looking for waivers, and to be honest, I was fortunate. I was able to apply to most of them, getting waiver code for most of them, and it was really helpful because if I was done with the schools that I wanted to apply, now I didn't really mind, and all I needed was which school do I want to apply to, which school is giving waiver code, and if they are giving waiver code, do they have funding? So I would just ask the department that I'm hoping to apply for this program in this semester. I know, I mean, like, I know that they indicated that they require funding, but are they going to offer assistantship to students who are enrolling in this year 20? Then I had the year to it to be sure that this particular year they are going to give scholarships to students, because no matter what you apply, what they will start with, it is like they have this generic reply that they give to students that it is competitive, and I knew all those things. So I just go straight to the point that are you offering students assistantship in this particular year? And they will tell you that yes, this year they are going to, but they have to wait for to see the package that they will get. Then they will know how many they can um, fund. So
Okay.
basically, that was what I was doing.
Okay, so to get just a general summary of what you said. Well, in another episode, we've actually talked in depth with the waiver code. So if you're having struggles with the application fee, I suggest that once you're done, you could go into that because he's talked really in depth into that. So for this other time, when you were focusing only on the US, what you were doing was you actually sent the graduate coordinators email to ask if they were going to offer graduate assistantships in your program in that year before you
Yeah,
went ahead with that, and
yeah,
also to find the schools you were doing it state by state and just
yeah.
short list. Okay,
Shortly.
so
So
before you continue, I just have a few questions. So with the Ohio University, what
mhm.
happened and didn't go? You didn't get admission, or what happened?
I didn't even get admission, and like I don't know why. I don't want to blame it on one. I delayed with my recommendation. Like my last recommendation really delayed.
Okay.
Um, but like that was my first school, so I understood. Like I learned from that. I learned from that. But I don't know if that was the case when they
Okay.
write. For most of the time, what I normally do is when I get rejection, I write back to them
Yeah.
and ask them why I was rejected, and they were like, the program I'm applying to, I want development studies, and like those that they enroll, they are people that have local government background, UNICEF, and these are the people that they really want. So I didn't really have work experience to compete with those people. That was the explanation that was given to me, and yeah, I think that
Okay.
was it. And like this was actually helpful because I know a friend who did that. When I apply to a program and I don't get it, and I talk to them because I know there is a waiver code. Next year, I'm going to apply to the same school. Now I know the coordinator. Have already established that kind of like rapport with him.
Yeah.
Even if yeah, like I mean, next year there are a lot of people who are competitive, and there is some space for me. Probably I knew that he was going to actually that trick didn't work for me. But it worked for a colleague friend of mine.
Okay.
She did it, she applied to this program, she didn't get the scholarship. She wrote back to them that why didn't she get in? They said it was competitive. The second year she had tried again, she didn't get. Then I sent her a message that she should send this message to them that um like what is she doing wrong, because like she has been doing this and she's not getting. And the coordinator was like, she doesn't think that that would be fair for the other applicants, so she cannot tell her that. But within 1 week or 2 weeks, the coordinator sent her a message that, hey, if you get this scholarship, can you come? And she was like, yes. And she was told to go and apply to the
That's
program.
great.
So before she even applied to the admission, we already had funding. So I
That's really
feel like,
great.
yeah, sometimes since you have the waiver and you're not paying for it, I applied to Northern Arizona 3 times. 2019, I applied because there was a waiver. 2020, I applied to Northern Arizona again because there was a waiver. There was a waiver. 2021, I applied to Northern Arizona again because there was a waiver. And all of them, the stories were different. Some I
Yeah.
was getting partial, some I was getting denied, some I was, and I, it was like a learning process for me. So
Yeah.
I know, okay, this program, before you can apply to this particular program, you need to get a faculty member who is willing to supervise so that you state their name in the statements of purpose for your application. So it was like there is not, so when it comes to application process, to me, I don't think there is a generic thing for everyone. Every Just utilize all the toolkits in the box and probably you are likely to get what you're searching.
And I really agree. I like the fact that you brought about the point of talking to the coordinators about the reason for rejection, which is very important because that's what I really advise people. Like maybe when people come and they are rejected, they come to me, they're like, hey, I've been rejected several times. Can you read over my documents? What's good? And I ask them that, like, why were they rejected? Have they found out from the graduate coordinators? Because sometimes you can do everything right, and like as you said, this is a learning process, and the best people who can give you feedback is the people who are analyzing your documents, is the people who are going to give you admission, so they tell you that. And sometimes people ask me, like, if they send them the, like, if they ask for the reason, like, what will happen, would they give them admission or not? Like, no, they won't give you admission, they've already refused you. But that's what you are going to learn to improve for that same application the next year or even somewhere else, because sometimes it could be just something little that you are not doing, and
Yeah,
just by talking to them, and they're always human beings. So like when you get rejection, the first thing I always advise people is like ask them, like, why was I rejected? Because I feel that I submitted a competitive application, so what can I do differently? Most of the time they'll tell you at the end of the application season, they'll tell you sometimes it's not you, sometimes the program is just competitive. And when that happens, what you can do is you have to look at the people who are in the same field as you and look at the skill sets they have. Like, this person has this, go and learn that. In the next application season, now you become competitive because now you have
exactly.
something that other people don't have.
Yeah,
It's always a learning process. And like if most people have it like, I'm just looking for funding, and that's not really, that will not really help you, because you keep on doing the same thing all over again,
mm,
you're going to get a rejection all over again. So now, Beneza, now let's look at like what I've shown on the screen. Like, just tell us, take us through the schools, because I can see admitted, admitted, deleted, deleted, denied. So like, what's all this
yeah.
about?
So in 2019, one thing I missed, and I talk about it to most of my colleagues, is if you are going to apply to several schools, I think one thing, one mistake I never repeated again was keeping track of my application. A lot of people don't keep track of the application, and like sometimes you don't even know. I realized that in 2019, I can't tell you an exact number of schools I applied to in 2019 because I wasn't, and I was sometimes I would sit down and I'll get a denial, and I'll be like, oh, I actually applied to this school. And I, sometimes I'll be like, I'll be there, then admission will come, and I'll be like, oh, I actually applied to this school. What this means was that I wasn't even reaching out to those schools coordinators. So what I encourage people to do, that this is an important thing. Keeping track of your application is one of the things that I think we the Indians do it a lot. We Ghanaians, I don't see us mostly doing that. So 2019, I didn't keep track of my application, but 2020 and 2021, I started taking, I mean, notice not everything, but those that I had confidence in. Then those that I was really certain. I think 2020, I did that, and in 2020, because I applied to I wrote GRE, you can see that it was like something that I was updating it all the time. So I was applying to the schools simultaneously. Some people actually want to wait and want to submit this program, and when everything is completed, then they move on to the next program, like the next application. I think when you do that, you wait a lot of time. So you rather have to get all your schools and do them. And if you get in addition more schools, then you add them to it. But you can start by two, because sometimes a lecturer will be delaying your recommendation. So if you are waiting on him, and then you can do something with the next application. So I was taking notice of there was the various ones. So if my GRE score is submitted, then I take submit a sent. If it's not sent, then I leave it blank. And the ones that I will pay for it, then I'll go. When I pay, then I will be like sent, because when you write it to them, the GRE people, when they send it, the school will tell you that you've received your score. Or so sometimes it is your responsibility to ask the school that, have you received my score? Because they don't actually know. Like they don't like it is your responsibility to make sure that every application, every document you submitted has been has gotten to them. So that was that is actually the purpose of the another purpose of keeping track of your application. So um, what I did was when admission decision come, I just write admitted, admitted. When I get denied, I'll be like denied, denied. Um, and I did that for so as I was moving on, you can see that 2020 I got several admissions to
Which one is the 2020? Maybe
the
can you
first
maybe
one.
move your screen a bit? Could you maybe move to the left a bit for us to see the screen better? Because for
Yeah.
me, I can only start to see from the admission decision. Can I see maybe like the school?
So
Okay, okay,
2020, these were the schools that I was focusing on really:
okay.
Cleveland State, New Hampshire, and these ones. And most of the programs like were economics related. I was applying to most of them, economics, agri-econs, because that is what I did. Like that is what I majored, even though I minored in sociology. So when you see that, I got a lot of admissions for these ones. So let me chip this in: don't go to any consult to pay anything to them for admission. Admission in the US, so far as you learn from these channels, like you follow this, I say, Tabra, you basically will do the right thing. You don't need to pay anyone to submit your application. It's quite easy. Just follow the steps and you get admission as well as funding. So don't pay anything. As you can see, I got a lot of admission without funding. That was 2020. I was Northern Arizona. I was waiting, and these ones I got San Francisco. I got merit based in 2020. I had AME economics. New Mexico, I got GA shape. I got I was Bolingina. I was on a waiting, and so these were the ones that what I did in 2020. However, in 2021, I
Before we get to 2021, why didn't you go in 2020 when you got the admissions?
okay, so when I got funding, actually, I was going to New Mexico because
Oh,
I knew people, friends there. I had some colleagues there, and like um, COVID came, COVID-19 came, so I was supposed to defer. I was supposed to start online. They were told us that we were supposed to start online or lose our scholarship. I actually that year, I don't know what's happened. I together with 9 friends of mine from UCC, we all got funded into the same school, and we all lost that scholarship because we couldn't um, we couldn't because of COVID we couldn't leave to US. Secondly, we didn't know that because of COVID they reduced the fees drastically, so we could have actually paid for it and do it online. And there's a colleague of mine who was in like who actually paid for it. He didn't tell us, actually we didn't know that he was doing it. So he did paid it, and during the spring semester in December he moved to the US to continue his program. So here too, I want to stress on that sometimes you want to ask the coordinator how much you're supposed to pay, because it was on their website that this is the fees. However, because of COVID-19, they reduced the fees and we didn't ask, so we lost that opportunity. So
okay.
that was something that happened to me. So um, I wanted to also go in spring, that is in December. Actually, another reason why I wasn't really motivated to follow that was I had another funding for Central Michigan that I was hoping to move because they allowed me to defer. So I
Okay.
wasn't really, willing to pay that much, which I feel like it makes sense. So that was another reason why I didn't follow up. But I couldn't get visa for 2020, the spring semester. So I need to start all over again in
When you
2021.
say you couldn't get visa, what do you mean? Like your visa
I mean,
got
like I
refused or what?
applied for emergency slots and I was denied for emergency
Okay.
slots. So actually, I didn't even get the opportunity to go to the embassy to even get interviewed. So that
Okay.
was what happened. So in 2021, then I didn't have a lot of money. So I couldn't write the GRE. I mean, I've already written the GRE before 2021. I was supposed to, if I was going to apply to schools, that's required GRE. I needed to pay to the GRE officials to submit my scores to almost all the schools. So if you see, most of the schools in here, I was submitting GRE because they will give you 4 automatic schools that
Slots.
you can submit to. Then you too, you pay for the other ones. However, what I was doing, something I missed. Some schools you can actually upload your GRE score. You don't
Okay.
necessarily have to pay for it. So, like Bowling Green, I didn't pay for it. Bowling Green, I just submitted it to them. And when you get to, funding and admission, then you will be required to send official score. So, there's something that you also want to check if you want to reduce the cost of application. You actually want to look for if they can allow you to submit your own official scores for review purposes. So in 2021, I got a lot of denials because, as you can see, I was applying to diverse program, which my background wasn't really strong. So I was getting denied for most programs because they were not. I couldn't compete those who were in that program. Like people with that background, if I'm applying to master's information system, I think this was something I became so much interested in it, but I couldn't get into the program. Um, I was applying to social work, MBA, criminal justice, sociology, basically because I had application fee waivers and I didn't have money to pay for GRE. And if I don't have money to pay for GRE, most of the economics programs require GRE. So I couldn't just apply to them. And the ones that don't require GRE too, I didn't have application fee waiver for them. So I was forced to apply to different programs. And that's resulted in a lot of denial. So one thing that I also emphasize is it doesn't really matter. Of course, even if you do a different program, you can get funding into a different program altogether. However, I believe that if like you need to prove more than someone who has the requisites for that program. So this is something that I just by the way, like if you really want, you are a business student and you want to apply to maybe um, um entirely different program, I think your chances of getting scholarship in that program compared to your chances of getting scholarship in a business program varies. That is something that I cannot because I can't say for sure, but like I believe that common sense that is it.
Okay, so with I just have just like a passing comment with regards to that. What most people don't realize is, or what most people don't read, is that for every program there are minimum requirements, and for every program there's a background knowledge you need. An example, like I said, civil engineer. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter like if I'm the overall best in my country, I got like really great grades, and I want to divert into medicine. I like maybe I've done my undergrad and I want to do a master's in medicine. Academically shows I'm good, like I have it all,
Mhm.
but do I have that background knowledge to divert into doing medicine? No, I don't. Somebody who did medicine like for the undergrad whose grades are not even as compared to mine has a higher chance. Why? Because they have the background or requisite skills. Maybe as a civil engineer, I might want to go into chemical engineering. I have my chances of getting into a chemical engineering program is far higher than getting into a medicine related program. Why? Because I might have some of the
The
background knowledge.
basics.
And they
Yeah.
are also like interdisciplinary programs where they
Program.
take people from all backgrounds because you just need the minimum requisite. It's education. You are going to learn, you are going to build up. So it's very important that for every program you apply to, you have to explain, like you have to check the minimum requirements. And sometimes we just want to divert, like for me, like 1 year I applied to a business related program, civil engineering. I have no background in business, but I got into the program. Why? Because I was able to prove that indeed I really need this skill, and I explained why
Compliment.
I wanted that business related masters.
Yeah,
So that's something like I did a video on that why I explained it in my motivation letter. So I suggest like you go if you want to divert, see you just need
yeah,
to find the bridge or the link. So I'll just suggest you go watch it and see
it's
how to do that. So it's very important that
important.
you have the minimum requirements for that program. Yeah, so that's what
Yeah,
I wanted to chip in.
yeah. Actually, I think what's actually, I mean, this statements of purpose. I think that is where it really comes in when you are
Yeah.
diverting. Your statements of purpose should highlight why you want to divert and what you are going to get from the program and what you're also bringing about. I think I've seen it a lot of webinars when I attend webinars. They emphasize that maybe so far as you have these core requisites, you tell them why you want to be, even though you're an economics student, you want to move from economics to information studies. And I know a couple of people who have actually been able to do that. So I agree with you totally.
Okay. So on the
So
on
a couple of challenges on a couple of challenges on the application process. When I was applying and I was keeping track of the schools, I realized that, as I stated, most of the schools, my goal was to apply until I get scholarship, then I stop applying. So um, you can see these schools, this program, New Hampshire University, Southern Louisiana, New Orleans. I divided it from the other ones. What I was doing, the reasons why I couldn't submit these programs were the ones I wasn't able to submit complete. I started it, I submitted the application, but I was not able to finalize it. And these are not the only ones. There are several other ones that I couldn't complete the application process. I think once in a while, if you're applying to a lot of schools, there are some schools maybe you might not be able to complete because you lost sight of something that they require. So if you want to avoid those things a lot, what you do is you have to make sure that you have all the materials. And sometimes you don't know. For example, this program, New Orleans, I got an waiver code, so I was applying to their program, but I didn't know that they require evaluation. I went ahead, I submitted everything. I submitted all my documents, recommendation and everything, and then the school wrote to me that I need to send my transcript for evaluation before they can send my application for review. So this is something that escaped a lot of people, and I think I'm not the only person. I heard a lot of people. A friend was applying to Pennsylvania State. He didn't know that like they require evaluation. So he submitted, he paid the application fee, and later on he was asked to go and maybe you don't, by the time they will ask you, you don't have the funds for it. And I think evaluation is really expensive. So if you not check for anything, check for the schools that you're applying, whether they require evaluation or not. Because trust me, once you pay for application fee and maybe you're taking your GRE, adding the evaluation to it, unless you have a lot of money, it becomes a challenge and you will not want to lose that. So you will not want to spend money on a school that you're not going to I mean, they're not going to review your application for you. So make sure that most schools that you check, the schools in US that you check that they don't require evaluation. That is one. Then the application fee requirements, some schools too, they give waiver and um, like it will not work. And some too, even the waiver will work, but then um, Ohio University, maybe like I was actually okay. Ohio, the reason why I didn't pay was I didn't pay the application fee because by the time I was ready, I've secured some funding, so I didn't go ahead to pay it. And Western Illinois, I didn't know why. I don't know why how it was done. I'm assuming that by the time I was supposed to have, maybe I would have gotten scholarship, so I didn't actually focus on that. So probably maybe that is why. But I was just bringing your attention to it that some schools, like this school, they requested for original transcripts. I then have submitted my original transcripts to most of the schools already, so I wasn't willing to go and pay extra money to request for transcripts and send it to them. And I think I have to talk about the transcript thing here. When it comes to like sending transcripts abroad, if you write evaluation, if you're going to do evaluation, you will want to start early because I did economics, so I like minimizing costs. So what I did was that because the evaluation, you have to send your transcript to them before they will review it. So if you pay the money, you have to send your transcript to them. What I did was you have to send your transcript if you want to. FedEx is I think 200 Ghana cities or so, like or 204 Ghana cities for FedEx, but you can utilize other service which would take a longer time before it get there. So because you know you're going to do evaluation, you just send your transcript to the evaluation committee, the school, the agency that is wise 1 month before time. So it's always maybe you spend like 10 cities or 12 cities for Ghana cities, 12 cities for what do you call it? Ghana posts. It will take almost a month or a month and 2 weeks for your transcript to get it. So that by the time you pay it, you've submitted your transcript to the agency paying only 10 cities. Someone will submit the evaluation and will have to pay for because he wants the thing to get it within 4 days. But if you start early, for example, in August, you send your transcripts to the through Ghana Post, you know that it's going to take 1 month to get there. You pay just 10 or 12 cities. You can do this for several schools, several schools. So I think there's something that is also important that will help people minimize the cost of application.
So thank you very much, Ebenezer. It was really really helpful, and I like the transport aspect. But like from all this conversation, I have figured out actually studying in the US is really expensive. Like the whole
Yeah,
process
yeah.
involved is really really expensive. So why was that your choice?
I felt like that is where I could get a lot of help. I didn't really know a lot of people in
Okay.
Europe. So going by the European, I mean, like you are not sure that you are going to get it. Someone will give me someone's contact in a different country. I reach him, and it's kind of difficult. But if you know the person personally, like it's quite easy to get access to those people. So that was one thing. And like I think the US wasn't my dream country, though. Canada was my dream country, but now it's changed. Mm.
Oh, and did you apply to any school in Canada? If
Yeah,
Canada was your dream?
Saskatchewan. I applied to Saskatchewan.
Okay, and what happened there?
Saskatchewan, I'm just praying that I'll become successful one day and they'll call me and I'll tell them that I will not. I
So
will,
so you didn't get admission to
I
Saskatchewan?
didn't get,
Okay.
I mean, like the program it was really competitive. Like Greek Economics in Saskatchewan is competitive because every single year, people from
Mhm.
my school have gotten to know that I think the funding is really good and Ghanaians are really interested in funding. Like, so,
Okay.
all the people, the Ghans with the good GPs come there. So and everybody is like, trying to apply to that school. So like it's really competitive. I just gave it a try because I have several friends in that school. So I was just hoping that I could just because sometimes I've seen a situation where people with low GPA have gotten scholarship over people with higher GPA.
Yeah.
So in the same program in the same year. So I just gave it a try and it didn't work.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe you could go do your PhD there, so it's not too late. So
No, I think I like the weather here. Yeah.
okay, that's good. So like this was a really great conversation, and thank
Mhm.
you for willing to do this. So I want us to close the session. Like if you could give us your final words, and before you give us your final words, if you've watched other videos, you'll know that Ebenezer is also starting a YouTube channel to also
Yeah.
help people to share his experience to make this whole process easier for you. He'll share some of his struggles and how he like just studying abroad, like just sharing everything. So I do suggest that you go there, go show him some love because he really has a lot of good information for everybody. So yeah, Ebenezer, just give us
And
your final words, and we can
so
close
my
the session.
final word is I think people spend a lot of time on the application process rather than preparing for the application process. I think it's something that I made the same mistake. But I believe that if you start the application process, prepare well for the application process, when it starts, everything is easy. So like there are a lot of YouTube videos out there. Go and watch them. There are a lot of people on LinkedIn. Come to on LinkedIn. You see people posting scholarships. Like get to know what people are doing and what people did to make them successful. Then when you start the application process, it becomes easier. You will not then have to go through the process, the challenges that some of us
Yeah.
went through. So I think that is what I want to say.
Okay, and thanks for bring in this. Like we are almost over 30 minutes, but I want to, because for me personally, that's what I always do. If I want to do something, like I prepare beforehand before I start. Like when I start, even if I don't get, like I knew that I had done a very good job. So the next thing I have to do is like the person who got this, what did the person have that I didn't have? Most of you, like most people, are not interested in building yourself. At the end of the day, when people are choosing, they are choosing you as an individual, and everybody wants the best person. So if you are not getting, like, how the question you should keep on asking yourself is, how can I be the best person? Why was this person chosen over me? What does this person have that I don't have? Then you go back to the drawing board and get it. So preparing for the application process is really important. The whole process, like you can sit down and like within 30 minutes, once you have it all, you can finish. It's what you do before you apply. That's what differentiates a winner from
Yeah.
not, that's what differentiates from someone
Just
being selected and not being
overall.
selected. So if today is your first time on my channel, I hope you learned a lot. Leave in the comment section, let me know what you learned. Kindly like, share, subscribe, and go follow Ebenezer and show him some love. So till you hear from me again,
Bye.